Ukraine was central to conspiracy theories that roiled Washington after 2016. There was the Democrats had hidden a server in Ukraine. It was Ukraine, not the Russians, that meddled in the 2016 election. I wonder, was all of that the result of a Russian intelligence operation?
I will say that we certainly did not see evidence that Ukraine interfered with the 2016 election. We're certainly open to it, we certainly look hard, but that was not what we saw.
But were those ideas planted by the Russians?
The Russians engage in very active disinformation, misinformation, and in fact information warfare as a key part of their arsenal. They view it as an asymmetric weapon that they can use, even though they're at a conventional military disadvantage. And certainly we have seen that.
It certainly is one of the Russians' goals to interfere with American politics to the greatest extent possible.
There's no question that the Russian government and the Russian intelligence services have sought to try to sow divisiveness and discord in our country and in other countries. It's not unique to targeting the United States, but to try to interfere with the populace and to undermine our own faith in our institutions and in each other as Americans. And that is clearly part of their playbook. They use a variety of tools to do that, social media, proxies that they enlist. It is information warfare, which is itself not a new phenomenon, but what is new over the course of the last decade or so is some of the tools that advance it. In particular, the use of social media becomes sort of a bullhorn to amplify those kinds of operations. And as we look forward, we have to worry more about things like deep fakes as they become more and more sophisticated and harder to detect. And so information warfare is here to stay. What we need to make sure we're doing at the FBI, but also with all of our partners, because it's not a uniquely FBI responsibility, is to try to make sure we're ahead of that threat. And I think Americans can have and I'm confident that Americans can have faith in our election system and our election infrastructure. There's no question that one of the real risks we have to guard against is having Americans lose faith in our system as a whole and in democracy. And that's something that we need to guard against, and that is harder to guard against, certainly as any one government agency. That's something that requires not just government agencies on the federal side, state and local governments, the private sector, and in some ways it requires every American to play a part in that, to be a discerning, thoughtful consumer of information. There's a lot of garbage out there on the internet. That's not a shock, but people sometimes fall prey to believing garbage when they like the way it sounds. It's still garbage.